Here we are, another year has passed, guys. Thank you so much for watching my videos in 2025 and my movie thoughts, my reviews, anything that I've done so far. If you've clicked and watched me, thank you so much. Here we are at the end of the year again. I like to give my top 10 favorite movies of 2025. Each year I do a top 10 favorite list, and this year is no different. With that being said, we have a couple of honorable mentions I do want to bring up before I get into the rest of them. Coming in at my honorable mentions before we get to number 10, honorable mention number 1 being Friendship. Friendship was a comedy it really was rewatchable, very enjoyable, very funny in terms of just the execution of it, but it's a comedy that got better and better as time went on, and I would rewatch it, show friends it, and that was really where this movie sung. I had a great time with Friendship, just that awkward comedy tension with Tim Robinson, really feeling like this almost repeat, but not fully, of Cable Man. I just thought that was really funny, and I enjoyed it. Now on to our official number 10. I gotta give credit when credit is due. The MCU I've had a bit of trouble with lately, off and on, with the consistency, but Thunderbolts really hit me where I live. It hit me emotionally. Thunderbolts, I thought, reminded me of why I love the MCU, or at least parts of the early stuff, where character development was at the forefront. It was all about studying what makes these characters tick. I thought Thunderbolts did a great job at making characters I really honestly didn't care that much about previously. It made me care about all of them. I cared about Yelena in this one. I cared more about Red Guardian. I cared more about even Ghost, which I don't love Ant-Man and the Wasp, so I thought that they did a good job of making Ghost a badass. But not only that, this movie does a good job at making an interesting antagonist. It's not necessarily about a straightforward villain, but more so an emotional situation they have to help a character with. And I thought Thunderbolts just did a great job at bringing in depth for our characters while making that, giving me that feeling of MCU love that I used to have way back when characters just felt right and earned. I can't wait to see what these characters do in, I almost said Endgame, in Avengers Doomsday. I'm excited to see that dynamic. I wonder who they're going to play off of with. I'm excited to see Yelena back. I even like her more than Black Widow. And Sentry I thought was really enjoyable as well. I thought Sentry is just one of the greatest additions for the MCU in recent years for characters, and I hope they build on that in Doomsday. I'm really excited to see how that plays out. With that being said, though, yeah, Thunderbolts was awesome. It got the job done, bringing my love for Marvel, brought in my love for character. I really enjoyed this one. Really dug it. Sitting at number 10. On to our number 9, a spiritual sequel in a way to Top Gun Maverick, but not really, but still same director, same spirit, is F1 with Brad Pitt, directed by Joseph Krasinski. The dude knows how to make epics. I'm sad he did not come back to make Tron Ares, and we saw how that worked out. Oh, man. But other than that, I did enjoy him, and I love what he did with F1. F1 is just really electric, really great with character. I enjoyed Brad Pitt, as Van Damme and Idris really bounce off each other well. I appreciate that F1 also tackles something where, like, it's not doing the generic thing where the older character is just an asshole, and the younger character is the good guy trying to do the right thing, and one has to learn from the other. It's actually, I like how this one, they both have to learn from each other. The young guy's kind of a hothead, but he is a dick at times, but also Brad Pitt's character is a dick at times, so the movie kind of justifies both ends of the spectrum. When you're following that, it makes the ending feel that much more earned. The final race in this is so intense because you're really rooting for all the characters in it, and it works, I think, overall as a narrative. I really thought this movie brought in the love of F1 and also introduced me to a lot of things I didn't know about F1 racing that I thought was really educational and just interesting to learn for a movie like this. I really got to learn the rules of F1 racing a little more. I thought it was also educational while being emotional, while being badass, while being heartfelt. It was a movie that you look for in a blockbuster. F1 delivers it. It brings the heat. My number 8's a movie I personally loved, so when I walked out and saw the reactions online, I was like, yeah, well, people do not like this one. But I thought it worked for me. 28 years later, I thought it was fascinating. It was an interesting exploration of the zombie apocalypse world post the first 28 days movie. I think it kind of retcons weeks, or at least doesn't mention it, but I enjoy how 28 years later, it did hone in on the humanity of the story. The first half is a solid sequel to 28 Days Later and that tension, while the second half is almost a meditation on grief and what makes us human in the brain, in the mind, in the memories. How human do memories make us? And I loved seeing that exploration, but in the world of the apocalypse, I thought the heart of this movie was at the center first and foremost, and it really brought to an emotional finish that a lot of people online have been kind of shitting on and saying it's comedic. I thought it was an interesting contemplation on death, mortality, what it can mean, and what it means for the people we love. And I thought it was just fascinating in that. And not only that, it sets up for a sequel that I can't wait to see. I'm really hyped for Bone Temple. I also thought the cinematography was interesting and unique for what it was trying to deliver on with the tension. It just really worked. The iPhone use didn't feel like a gimmick. It felt like it really worked for propelling this movie forward and giving it an identity visually as well. I dug 28 Years Later. I cannot wait for Bone Temple. Also might be Aaron Taylor Johnson's just best performance as this really troubled dad character. He's an asshole, but he's fascinating to explore. Same with the son, same with all the characters. Really dug this one. My number 7 is further proof that Rian Johnson still got it. Love me some Rian Johnson. Wake Up Dead Man just worked on every level. I watched it twice. It got better and better when I rewatched it. I enjoyed this one, man. I didn't love Glass Onion. I thought Wake Up Dead Man, though, was a great follow-up to the spirituality of what Knives Out is as a mystery, but on top of that, bringing in a unique conversation for what this movie was with its characters, their internal struggles. I thought it all worked for an interesting murder mystery, but on top of that, a great discussion of faith and religion and what that means for people and how we can have compassion for each other, even with our different belief systems and how they operate. And I thought that was just a great theme to hold in this murder mystery that did admittedly feel really hard to solve. I did not expect the twist and turns of this one. Rian Johnson came back with a great mystery, a great follow-up to Knives Out. I love me some Wake Up Dead Man. It's the darkest of the Knives Out films. Sometimes I do think it might be my favorite, but still, just that first one has a little bit of edge over it. With that being said, though, I loved Wake Up Dead Man. It's exactly what you look for in a mystery or a great Rian Johnson film in general, or just a damn good movie in general. Every character steals the scene. Every actor is great. Josh Brolin is a great villain performance. This movie's awesome. I gotta go move on to number 6, though, because I'm gonna keep talking about it. My number 6 this year is a case in point, and sometimes rewatchability is a huge factor in enjoyment for a movie. And Weapons, I had to watch it twice to fully appreciate what it was doing. The first time I was kind of disappointed with some of the mysteries, some of the mysterious elements kind of being not as interesting when revealed. On the second watch, though, knowing where it's going, it's a lot more fun to just dive in with these characters, all these flawed people in this scenario, and how they all kind of create this almost impossible situation to find these kids. It's fascinating that the whole element of what makes these kids go missing isn't the only thing that propels the situation. This movie is more so about what creates the scenarios for people to not find these children and how the characters themselves are flawed in doing that. And I thought that was fascinating, the way we almost ignore the trauma of the children in our communities. I thought this movie explored that in a fascinating way that took me a couple of watches and discussions with friends to really let it settle, but at the end, I thought Zach Gregor delivered yet another unique-ass horror film with interesting perspective. This also reminded me of like Trick or Treat in a cool way with how it's paced around, how we follow each character and their different POVs of each scenario. And this movie's just, it's fascinatingly structured, it's interesting, unique in its execution. The horror itself is very creepy at times. There's one scene that just still kind of puts goosebumps on the back of my hair and my back of my neck, like that scene, when she's walking out with the scissors. You know what I'm talking about. One of the most famous scenes of the year. Got one of the biggest gasps in the theater when I saw it. It's still a memorable moment. Love that scene. Love this movie. Weapons brought the uniqueness. It brought the horror. It brought the magic. I loved it. And speaking of magic, Chainsaw Man was just fucking epic. I love Chainsaw Man, the Razor arc. This was an example of my number 5. Number 5 being Chainsaw Man is that this movie literally just does a great job at, I think, doing the anime adaptation on screen, but doing it in a way that's fun, what's enjoyable for the audience, to where you're not making them feel alienated, and you're not also just extending an arc that didn't need to be a movie. This felt uniquely paced in a where it fits the film, but also Chainsaw Man's filled with heart, filled with romance, filled with character development and tension, but also that the action is zany and wild, yet there's romance, there's human connection, there's conversations. I love that this movie is a lot of build up before we get to the crazy final fight in the anime action. That way we really feel those moments. They feel earned. I think this movie does a great job at breaking down Denji and who he is, kind of concluding who he is at the point in this show as well, but it working for a movie in and of itself in a film arc. I thought Chainsaw Man just did a great job at doing that, bringing in lovers of Chainsaw Man and pleasing the fans while still being a theatrical release at the same time. This movie's exciting. It's all the buzzwords you can say. I really don't have problems with Chainsaw Man. It's at number 5. It got better and better every time I watched it. This movie's epic, dude. We're truly spoiled when it comes to animated fight scenes, because holy god, some of the fight scenes, like there's some audio moments that I'm still thinking about to this day. The boom, Bomb Devil, dude, it's badass. It's good shit. Which brings me to my number 4 on this list, is about a character who wants so badly to be badass, but just isn't, but man is he a bullshitter. Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme, Timothée Chalamet's just great. He's one of the greatest actors working today, and this movie is case in point and why, and further proof of that. Marty Supreme is just one of those films that I could not get my mind off of after I saw it. It's kind of recency biased, but the energy in this movie, the situations at hand, Timothée Chalamet's performance just all felt so real and gritty and atmospheric, but also intense as fuck. Loosely based off this guy who's just kind of failing upwards. I thought Timothée Chalamet brought so much energy to this role. You really feel the almost frustration and just anger other characters feel for this guy, like, and at this guy for being lied to by him. And I thought this movie did a great job at exploring that while still having us oddly root for this dude at times, yet he's clearly not the hero of the story in any way. He's not the main, he's a protagonist, but he's a flawed-ass human being. And I thought that Marty Supreme did a good job at writing that line while still being entertaining, yet stressful as hell at times. This movie had the intensity, had the action, weirdly enough, action. Can't say they're action sequences, but there's great moments of tension as this character's trying to get to this ping pong tournament, but it also involves money, involves dealings and wheelings and dealings and con mans and scheming. So people get in trouble, people get in danger, and the intensity there is that much well developed. All the characters around them as well. Standout performances around Timothy Chalamet that also propel him forward. This movie just did a lot for me in terms of intensity. It reminds me of Uncut Gems, kind of mixed with a Wolf of Wall Street, almost a Good Time element in there as well. Like, I could totally see, like I said in my review, Good Time, Uncut Gems, and this being like a unofficial trilogy box set of just intense rides about characters who dig these situations up for themselves. And with that being said, I think Marty Supreme kind of is a pinnacle of that, and one of my favorites of the year. Sits comfortably at number 4. I love me some Marty Supreme. Also possibly my favorite marketing campaign of any movie this year. Coming in at number 3 is a movie that just kind of broke me. Like, I didn't want to think about this movie for a few days after seeing it. I didn't even want to think about the music because it put me in the mindset. The Long Walk really affected me. The Long Walk kind of just is a movie about survival, and also a movie about the final moments of someone's life and the intensity of that. It's hard to watch because it is people my age too. So it's already hard to watch because any human being suffering is not fun to watch. But the topical nature of what this movie is trying to discuss, I thought was fascinating. I like how it's a discussion on stuff like the draft, but also you can apply it in the movie way at least to different things going on in our systems today without it being ham-fisted or kind of shoved in your face. I thought this movie did a great job at towing that line of being archetypal enough to pull your own interpretation from it, but also being able to see it in a lens where you're like, yeah, I can definitely see what this movie's picking up on. And it's emotional, it's an experience, it's a journey, and you're watching just these characters walk forever until their final days. And as you're seeing that, you just see the bonding among them. You really feel the character connection. This movie escapes just the tension that it's in and becomes something else entirely, an emotional experience of friendship, brotherhood, family, all within more than a few days, but like a good set of time chunk dedicated to these characters bonding. The whole movie is pure character, no plot. Yes, there's plot, but it is character focused. It's a character focused plot. The characters propel the story forward, and that's why it's so good. The Long Walk just really hit me in the emotional feels. I cried at least 4 or 5 times with this movie. It just hit me where I live. Me and my friends walked up just kind of quiet after. It didn't feel right to talk for a bit. This movie was an emotional roller coaster. I don't know if I want to rewatch it again, at least not for a long time, but it was that damn effective. One of the best Stephen King adaptations I've seen, period. Bar none. Loved the shit out of The Long Walk. Moving right along to number 2, there was no experience quite like Sinners this year. Sinners blew me away. Like, Sinners, to me, it's everything I look for in a movie. It's horror, it's romance, it's comedy, it's tension, it's history at times. It's also a love of music. Like, Sinners checks so many boxes, yet it doesn't feel like it's overwhelming itself. I love how Sinners feels like 3 great horror movies in one. A great historical period piece, alongside a vampire thriller, alongside a beautiful romance between some characters that are separated by systemic chains that are binding them away from each other. Like, I thought this movie did a great job at exploring all that while still being satisfying and entertaining. I could watch this movie every Halloween and just have a damn fun time with it, but also the appreciation for music brings this movie to a whole nother level. The sequence where we see I'm Sorry I Lied to You, that whole song that plays out, I think I just misnamed the title. But regardless, that whole moment is incredible. It's bar none one of the best scenes in all of cinema, one of the smoothest transitions in terms of establishing a POV of somebody and really exploring cultural relevance to what these cultures can bring. And I thought the music in it was amazing. I thought the filmmaking itself, the storytelling, Michael B. Jordan gives a performance of, he plays twins in this movie, and like at a point, I forgot he was doing it. And that sounds exaggerated, but I thought he was great. Michael B. Jordan probably gives his best performance in Sinners. Him and Ryan Coogler they're a dream duo. And Ryan Coogler should just keep making blockbusters because if they're at this caliber, it's going to be great. Had a great entertaining villain, great emotional story payoff, an ending that makes me cry every time I watch it. Sinners was hard to top this year. Like, there was a lot of movies that I was trying to measure up to Sinners, and Sinners was just never getting edged out or never getting beaten. Except for one movie. Kind of beat it, but just a margin. With that being said, I feel like you already know what that movie is. So let's just get into it. You knew Superman was going to be number one. Like, if you've been watching my videos, you just knew that was going to happen. Superman by James Gunn. James Gunn's Superman did everything I could possibly want in a comic book movie. Not only that, but a Superman movie. And then some. I've been dreaming for a movie like this for years. As someone who grew up with Man of Steel, enjoyed that movie, always wanted a sequel, never got it, but still wanted Superman to give that fair shake that he just never got to fully develop to. This movie did so much for me. David Cornsweet brings in a performance that is bar to none, just almost as good as Christopher Reeve, right below, because he's just so good as this character. He's my personal favorite Superman. He's the most vulnerable Superman out of the performances. And he's also just, I think, the most interestingly written in terms of a character that has insecurities, but still is unashamedly a good person at heart, does not give a fuck how mean you want him to be. He will kill you with kindness, and that's who Superman is. I think this character really is defined by this movie. This whole movie is about the character of Superman, one of the most uniquely structured comic book films, because it's so lived in. It just starts you off and assumes you know the world, therefore you are allowed to live in the world and kind of get to know it authentically. I thought the character-driven nature of this movie made it so simplistic. The simplicity is what made it complex. Lex Luthor being someone who's just so jealous. Nicholas Hoult brings that jealousy to life in this movie in a way that is just like a villain-hero dynamic that I've missed so much on screen. They're back and forth. It's just dialogue for the most part, and a simplistic setup because he's fighting someone Lex made. So you're just kind of watching this fight unfold. And the conflicts feel natural. You get three-dimensionality with Lois, and you get three-dimensionality with Lex Luthor. Not only that, but the side characters around everyone. Jimmy Olsen has a subplot that is not only an on-running joke, but an relevant part of the movie that shows his intelligence and his agency as a reporter, on top of Lois Lane doing that as well. This movie understands its characters so fucking well, and it makes me so happy to see. And it's just one of the most satisfying experiences I've had in cinema in a long time, especially this year. This is easily, Superman is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It is in my top 3 comic book favorite comic book movies of all time, in my top 3 for sure. And it is definitely my favorite movie of 2025. Superman just did everything possible. I can't wait to see where the DCU goes next. This movie did it for me, man. It was my number one. It made me feel, made me cry. Saw it 3 times in theaters, had an experience with it every time. Saw it several times at home on DVD, with some friends, with some family, showing anyone I can. This movie brought the magic. It reminded me of why I love superheroes and why I love film in general. And it is why it is my number 1 pick of the year for 2025. My favorite movie of the year. Guys, thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. This has been another great year of talking movies with you all. I really appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for clicking, subscribing, liking, commenting. Please come around, talk movies with me. What is your favorite movie of 2025? Thank you so much, and I will see you with my most anticipated of the year list next. Goodbye. I need some water. Cheers to you, 2025. It's been a good one.